Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Monday edition of Winners and Winers Radio. I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper over at winnersandwiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwiners.com.
And together, we make up Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. Speaking of winners, Scott, I know that's all you've been doing out there in fabulous Las Vegas. How's your weekend going?
Overall, fine. I would say I didn't start off as a winner on the trip because I got delayed and stuck in the airport for about 9 hours, but they paid me for it, so it could have been worse, I guess.
You came out okay.
Yeah, could have been worse.
You paid for your trip, basically.
Yeah, they basically paid for the trip, which was nice, but other than that, I'm here now. My voice, unfortunately, did not make the trip over, but hopefully I'll get it back within a day or two.
Is that from yelling at all the UFC fights?
Part of it. I mean, the UFC chant stuff definitely didn't help my voice. It was either that, just the screaming in the casino in general, or I don't know, just having a good time, I guess.
Screaming in the casino, are you?
Yeah, I mean, sportsbook, casino, whatever.
Okay. All right. Very good. I heard you saw a pretty good UFC card.
I did. It was a lot of fun. Showed up in the middle of the hooker fight, which was one of the last prelims.
Wait, there was hookers fighting?
There was a hooker fighting, but that's because that's his last name.
Oh.
So, you got the other idea. But
Vegas. Nuts.
Vegas is crazy. But anyway, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I know that the Ortega-Volkanovski fight was pretty much all people were talking about. Was very, very entertaining. I still don't know how people call it one of the best fights of all time, and then one judge gives it a 50-44 on the scorecards, which doesn't make any sense to me. I thought it was a great fight. I had a 49-46. And, yeah, the right guy won, but is what it is.
Are you keeping your own scorecard?
I always do. Well, because you have to keep in mind that if you end up having money on a fight or you end up keeping just mental tabs by force of habit, right, you're always grading each individual round in your own heads. So you have some vague idea of who's winning. You ever do that?
Yeah, I usually have a vague idea of who's winning.
Well, I mean, in general, because if you want to live bet it, for example, and you see live odds that don't reflect what you think the score should be, then you can find some value on it.
Yeah, I do. My problem is I don't have the skill level that those judges have to recognize some of the intricacies. So it's good you're having fun. I know you stayed the first night at MGM, and now you're over at the new one, Resorts World.
Yeah, fun time.
Went to the Circa Pool / EDM dance club
extravaganza.
I don't know, man. You were saying that it's set up. It's like a pool party where they got giant TVs and they have sports betting out there.
Yes.
How are the lines? Bad?
The lines were mostly inside. I didn't really see many lines outside, but that's why I also got the app. So I was using the Circa app for the most part, and that made it a lot easier. It also allowed me to bet on the UFC fights while I was at the UFC event, which was always a bonus. But that was kind of my main logic. I didn't want to wait on the line, so the first thing I did, I got an app.
Oh, very good. Very good. That's solid. And you said they were cranking the EDM music out there?
They were. It was kind of like a half rave, half club atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everyone's just watching college football, which I thought was a little bit interesting. But I had a good time. The weather was nice, so can't complain.
Just there's something about Molly and college football that just really don't go together for me.
I've never tried that, but since everything usually takes place in a college town, I'm sure somebody thought about that before.
I have no idea how people listen to dance music or EDM without taking Molly. That's my only contribution to this.
Fair enough.
But then again, I'm old and I like real instruments. So anyway, that was. Yeah, you had fun out there for the college. You saw some good college games and some decent NFL games. A lot going on. And as always on our Monday show, we have a ton to get to. We're going to recap the weekend of college action, NFL action, lay out our best bet in our Bet the Farm segment. We'll be talking about, you know the drill. Monday show, man, it is jam-packed full of information. Bonus size beats, bonus size rocking chairs. So, Scott, without further ado, let's get right to it, shall we? Let's find out the people that maybe took it in the shorts a bit. And there's a couple of them out there. I know everybody has their favorite. We had to narrow it down to our best 6. Guys, it's time for the jumbo-sized edition of Call the Cops. All right, Scott, you've been checking out that legal weed out in Vegas. Been hitting the wacky tobacco pretty hard.
I have not, but some people might need it after some of these beats.
Absolutely true. All right, well, let's get rolling, shall we? We're going to a little change of pace as we usually start with baseball, but we've got other things to talk about. How about Michigan State -5? Martinez, surprisingly, Scott, in overtime, he threw an interception. I know, who would have guessed, right? The cornerback for Michigan State has a convoy headed back to the end zone. He's got 3 blockers out in front of him. Somehow, a guard follows him down all the way, slips in behind him, trips him up. And on first down, then they reset it, of course, at the 25. And first down, Walker runs for 23 yards, gets tripped up at the 2. They got 2 more shots to get it in the end zone. Cover that number, Scott. Nope. Run for 1, run for nothing. And then I'm running out of nerves because it's time to kick the field goal. They did. They win by 3, but that ain't 5. If you had Michigan State right there in a really good spot, I don't know what to tell you except call the cops.
And the next one was between Clemson and NC State. Arguably the worst beat of the weekend was the under 45 in that game, 14-14. And NC State has a shot at a game-winning field goal. Now, the kicker was already 0 for 2, but those were pretty much from 50. So he's got a pretty makeable right down the middle kick from 39 yards out. Career 80-something% kicker. Not even close. Completely hooked it, went to overtime. And you know that it's called overtime and not undertime because they went to 2 overtimes. And both teams who couldn't score touchdowns the entire game could not stop scoring touchdowns in overtime. And the game ended up landing at 48 after you had about 4 touchdowns in overtime. Brutal. Really just bad beats all around. Was it 4 or 5? I'm trying to remember, but it wasn't pretty.
Yep. Not good. Not good at all. Like I said, yeah, they don't call it undertime. They really don't call it double undertime. That's just a hard way to lose that one. And if you had Auburn under 57.5, first of all, congratulations for playing unders in college football. It takes the nerves of a cat burglar to do that. And these are games like this are the reasons why. They had 43 points with 3 minutes left. Auburn well in hand of the game, although Georgia State gave them all they wanted, didn't they, Scott?
You can put it that way.
I would put it that way. But
Auburn should have lost the game.
They certainly could have. Auburn had a 98-yard TD drive. They converted the 2-point conversion with 45 seconds left. And then Georgia State, your buddy, Cornelius Quad Brown, throws the pick 6, Scott. This is going to be a theme that we maybe come back to. Auburn wins 34-24. If you're adding it up, that's 58. And if you're subtracting 57.5 from 58, still leaves you a half point too tall if you had the under 57.5 there. I can't even imagine it. I can't even imagine because that's seriously called the cops.
For the record, by the way, the NC State Clemson game had 3 overtime touchdowns. It just felt like 12 because nobody scored for what felt like ages in that game. But anyway, looking at college football one more time, Notre Dame and Wisconsin. And if you had the under 44.5 there, you're going to see the final total of 54 and think that it definitely was not a bad beat until you learned exactly what happened because you had 20 points going into the fourth quarter. Can I interest you in 34 points in the final 15 minutes of the game, including 2 pick sixes and a kickoff return touchdown? Game landed 54, but that's just ridiculous.
That's absolutely brutal. I think Mertz just threw another pick 6, Scott. Hang on. Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me.
He's not good, buddy.
Yep.
He is not good at all. Finally, if you had the Las Vegas Raiders -3.5, like I did, playing Miami, Las Vegas is up 8. They toyed with them a little bit, but they finally did their thing. Las Vegas is, by the way, terrible first half team, great second half team, but they're up 8, 3:22 left. Miami converted a 4th down, and then they get the dreaded defensive pass interference in the end zone, and absolutely no reason for it whatsoever, Scott. The cornerback basically held his arms down as the safety was coming over to help out. The safety had him absolutely perfectly covered. No reason to touch that receiver, but they did. They get the TD. They get the 2-point conversion.
Well, they got the TD on 4th down on the final play, by the way.
That's right, and they did get they got the TD with ended up with 2 seconds left on the clock.
4th down.
And 4th down, correct. And then it goes to they get the 2-point conversion, of course. Then it goes to overtime. But you know what? Who cares? Las Vegas -3.5. Although the Raiders did have a chance for the miraculous cover if they could have gotten Just one of those runs at the end of the game to break. Couldn't quite get there. They had a couple of shots at it, just couldn't have that extra step. They end up taking a couple of shots at it, even from like the 5-yard line. And then Gruden says, you know what, that's about enough of that, and kicks the field goal. So just brutal. You had Las Vegas -3.5. Call the cops, call your analyst, call your psychologist, just call somebody.
I still think the worst beat in that is probably going to be, it's either the Auburn one or the Clemson one for me. I mean, those two are just next level. The Notre Dame-Wisconsin one's bad, but you didn't lose in about the final minute or in double overtime.
Right.
Those two were atrocious.
Not good. Not good at all. So, did that really? Where are we doing that?
What?
Where's the Baltimore game?
I took it out because I thought we were saving that for something else.
What are we saving it for? I was looking. I'm looking.
I thought we were doing Gambling Hero.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, okay. So that certainly could be called the cops. All right. Very good. That's where it is. All right, Scott. So let's. So we only spent 2 hours getting ready for this show. You think I would have? Never mind. All right. So the opposite. Call the cops. These are the people that were sitting in the great position. They had a nice, easy victory. No sweat. Scott, they could just sit there at the Circa bar and drink kamikazes and pound margaritas and listen to Darude all day long because you were sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one was in a matchup between New Hampshire and Pittsburgh. And if you had the over 52.5, well, you only need to watch one half because you had 56 points in the first half. Pittsburgh scored 77 points. I think they were a little annoyed after losing to Western Michigan last week. And the game landed 84. So if you ended up having the over 52.5, you were just hoping they didn't shorten the quarters in the second half.
I'm guessing Pittsburgh laying the points was probably a pretty good rocking chair bet as well.
I do not think the spread was 70.
I was going to say, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't 70. So, yeah, nicely done there. What's the mascot for New Hampshire?
That I do not know.
I don't know it either. I know,
I'm good with the FBS mascots. It's the FCS ones that usually give me a bit of a hard time.
Well, if they, sometimes them from basketball.
That's what I'm trying to think of. New Hampshire,
Vermont's,
I can't really
of course,
think
the Catamounts and things like that.
Because New Hampshire stinks. I mean, they're in the same conference as Albany and company, and they're never any good. New Hampshire's always a bottom feeder like Binghamton.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you're not salty about it.
I'm not salty. I just don't know it.
What's the? I found this out the other day. What's the nickname for the Long Island team?
Well, they changed it because it used to be isn't it the Sharks now?
It's the Sharks. How stupid! Do you see a lot of sharks in Long Island? You live in Long Island.
I've never seen a shark in my life.
Have you ever seen a shark?
I have on vacation, like in a swimming with sharks situation, but never in person.
I don't think that's a thing, Scott.
I don't think they filmed. I don't think they filmed Jaws in New York. Let's put it that way.
Swimming with sharks. I like to swim with the sharks. You get in there and it's just like Jerry Tarkanian floating around in the pool.
That's a little much, but yes, towel floating as well.
I didn't mean like present day, no longer with us, Jerry Tarkanian. I meant
it's him, Greg Norman. The usual sharks.
Yeah, that'd be good too. Very good. All right, where were we? Oh, hey, the Battle of Texas. My goodness, Texas Tech and Texas wasn't really the Battle of Texas. It went about the way the first one went. If you had over 63, another first half no sweat because they put up 56 points in the first half. Texas, my goodness, Scott. Somebody speaking of salty, the Horns a little salty there as they put up 70 on poor Texas Tech. If you had the over 63, you had the team total over 63. Whatever you had, as long as it was involving the over, you were golden. Just sit in that rocking chair and relax.
And now looking at the opposite end of the spectrum in the NFL, if you had the Broncos and Jets under 42, that was pretty easy because no quarter had more than 10 points. The Jets did not score again, or did not score a touchdown again. And the Broncos won at 26-0.
Awful. Just awful.
It was great for me. Survivor. Got to keep the Survivor alive.
Is that who you had?
Of course.
I had Arizona, dude. I was sweating.
You're sweating for about 2.5 quarters, Lawrence to the pick 6, and then it was over at that point.
Yep, exactly right. So if you had Bengals +3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Scott, I threw my arm out of socket, pat myself on the back about our Steelers call so far.
I believe we said all week long we thought that Pittsburgh was going to be overvalued moving forward, especially with Watt being out. On the early lines, we both like Cincinnati, and yeah, it really wasn't that close.
Yeah, in all honesty, we've been talking about this since February or March. This just isn't a team that's going to go forward in any fine fashion. But yeah, the Bengals +3 made a great bet because they never trailed. They led by at least 7 points for the final 30 minutes and 33 seconds. They win 24-10. Spoiler alert, Ben Roethlisberger is terrible. If you had the Bengals +3, congratulations, you were sitting in the rocking chair.
Yep, not really much else to add. Big Ben, I don't know if you should bench him. We talked about it, but you got to – there's no way he's better than Mason Rudolph at this point.
I can't imagine that he is. I just can't. So I don't know that they're going to allow that to happen. I think Steelers brass, where they have the real talk, real conversations, I think they're willing to write this season off to let Ben have his due.
I think they might, but they also might use the pec injury as a scapegoat to try to give Rudolph maybe a couple of games at the end of the season.
Could be. Ben's like, I'm really fine. No, you're not. You're not fine.
Because Ben's realistically, even if he gets surgery and everything like that, we know that he's a tough guy, but you have a perfect excuse if you want to bench him for a couple of weeks.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. All right, bud. Well, let's find out who's strapping on the golden feed bag for today. We had multiple candidates for this, but one really stood out to both of us, and the game close to my heart, Scott. Let's find out who it was, who indeed is the donkey of the day. All right. By the way, guys, I want to remind you here that y'all are listening to Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour, and we will give you the winners. Scott, it wasn't a great day as a Chiefs fan. They lost to the Chargers, a game that actually I had as one of my plays of the day. I had the Chargers taking care of business there, a team that frequently plays the Chiefs tough. And the Chargers, they did their best to give it away, Scott. Now, Brandon Staley will set the stage here for you. Of course, you guys have all seen the highlights. Chiefs had a very nice defensive stand, holding the Chargers to a field goal instead of taking the lead. The Chargers just tied it up. Patrick Mahomes had the ball a little less than 3 minutes left. What more do you want? They got a timeout in their pocket. All you got to do is let Mahomes do his magic, waltz right down the field, yada, yada, yada. Now, funny story, Scott. They couldn't get one first down. On third down, Mahomes under pressure, rolling right, trying to do too much once again, and threw it, got it up in the wind there a little bit. Very windy day at Arrowhead. Overthrew it, interception. Chargers, of course, roll right down the field, not just into field goal position, but all the way down inside of the 5. So, Scott, at that point, Chiefs still have their one timeout. There's about, I don't know, what do you got, 40 seconds on the clock or so?
The only thing that matters is the 2-minute warning already passed.
2-minute warning had already passed. So what you should do in this situation,
kneel the ball.
You kneel the ball on first down. You make the Chiefs call their timeout on first down, and then on second down, you kneel the ball down again. You let the clock run all the way down under 10 seconds. You call your timeout. You kick the field goal. Bob's your uncle. Scott, what'd they do instead?
They scored the touchdown and decided to give the ball back to arguably the most talented quarterback of all time, right, and force their defense to make a stand. And to make matters worse, they missed the extra point.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's exactly right. So the Chiefs were driving not only for the game-tying field goal,
the game-tying touchdown.
The game-winning touchdown.
Now, for the record, the Chargers ended up winning, so it's not a full-on catastrophe, but Staley was the preseason favorite to win Coach of the Year, and I am maybe alone in this. I think he should be disqualified from the award just because of pure stupidity. The truth is, win or lose, you can make a case to fire the guy. I know that they won the game, but that is just...
My God, this is the same team that let Anthony Lynn coach for what, 4 years, 5 years they put up with that?
I'm
not going to fire
saying,
Staley after
No. I didn't say they were going to because they won the game, and I get the fact that he's supposed to be a McVay disciple and stuff like that. But You just went through all of that stupidity with Lynn, and you got rid of him because you realize in the end it was stupid and you brought in somebody else who would most likely handle the situations better. And yet, everything that he did, I could imagine Anthony Lynn doing for the last couple of years. It was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen besides the handoff and the Miracle of the Meadowlands play with Herm Edwards. Yeah. That's the all-time, gaffe for coaches. That right there was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen, and they ended up winning the game anyway.
It was terrible. Now, for the record, Romo pretty much said the same thing that I said right after I said it, but he had a little wrinkle in there that I didn't agree with. He said once it gets under 10 seconds, you should try to throw the fade. If it's incomplete, obviously the clock stops. You kick the field goal. I see no reason for that, Scott, because if you try to run an offensive play under 10 seconds, somebody moves, there's an illegal shift. God forbid we'd see an illegal shift on the Chargers' part. The game ends in a tie or goes to overtime in a tie. They don't have a chance to win it because you have a 10-second runoff. They're out of timeouts. Now what do you do?
It was really, really bad how they handled it. Plus, they went for it on 4th and 4 before that. They got converted on pass interference, but they were already in field goal range. I don't really know why they didn't try to kick it at that point. But the whole last 2 minutes just felt like I've been watching a microcosm of Chargers clock management decisions from the last 5 years. All just shoved into a 2-minute period.
Yeah, it was awful. It was just, I don't know. With Andy Reid, we're used to seeing stuff like that. Although he's gotten better, Scott. He's surrounded himself with smart people, and he's learned. He's never going to be the greatest clock manager, but
it's not even a matter of being the best. All you have to do is just not be completely detrimental to your own team.
Yes, don't be a minus. Just don't be a minus. But awful. All right, Scott. There was some disappointment out there, and you know what it is. It's the worst expression in the world because you'd rather have them be mad. It's your folks used to say it. Sometimes your spouse says it. It's not. I'm not mad, Scott. I'm just disappointed. You want to lead off, or you want me to do the college one?
I'll lead off.
Okay.
So looking at the first one, we're going to be looking at Tyson Helton, who, if you don't know, is the coach for Western Kentucky. And they were playing against Indiana. It was actually a pretty good game. But Western Kentucky was down 2, and it was 4th and 1 at Indiana's 48-yard line. And he decided, you have a chance to end up potentially upsetting a Big Ten team, a huge win for the program. What do you do if you want to win on 4th and 1? That's right, you punt. And you give Indiana the ball, and Indiana ended up going on a huge drive, 14 plays, 86 yards. And, let's just say Western Kentucky never got close enough again to, I'd say, have a shot at the realistic upset. So 4th and 1 as a huge underdog against the Big Ten team, what do you got to lose? Go for it. You got Zappe. Guy throws the ball over the field. You can pick up a yard.
My God, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And a good play caller. I mean, they certainly – you've got no play selection there that will get you a yard in crunch.
Did you see Florida State run the longest yard play?
No.
It was 4th and 1, and they brought the quarterback over, the Paul Crew play where he pretends he doesn't know the play, and they snap it to the other guy.
Oh, nice.
The running back got tackled for a 3-yard loss or something. It was a complete failure, but
we've all seen that movie.
They tried it.
All right. So, that was – now, luckily in that game, and we could have put this on Call the Cops because if you had the under in that game, it was a pretty brutal beat as Western Kentucky scored that touchdown with about, I don't know, it was certainly under 30 seconds left. They were able to put those points on the board and take it over the total, which I was on the right side of that one. So, and I know you've got one there from the NFL as well. Very similar situation.
I do. This one I actually think is not as bad as the Helton one because the Helton one has the underdog angle and stuff like that. So I think you should go for that all the time. If
also later in the game too.
Yeah. But anyway, you're Joe Judge in the NFL. And, of course, the former Belichick disciple has to be a genius when it comes to deciding what to do in certain situations. And then you realize he is not Belichick, no matter how many laps he makes his team run. Because in a game in which it was very close throughout, you had the Falcons against the Giants, and the Giants were down 1 with a decent amount of time left in the third quarter. But it was 4th and 3 at Atlanta's 39-yard line. Graham Gano. Pretty good leg. Of course, he had a great game on Thursday night against Washington last week. And they decided on 4th and 3 with Jones, who's been pretty good so far this season, surprisingly, and with a good kicking game, why don't we punt from 4th and 3 at Atlanta's 39-yard line? And then, yeah, that didn't exactly work because they ended up losing the game anyway. Now, a lot of events happen in between, but your team is in a battle. It's very, very close. You really are going to punt in a 1-point game in plus territory on 4th and 3? Come on.
Now see, Helton, you can almost make an excuse. Well, you only had 2 choices. You either go for it or you punt. Joe Judge had 3 choices, and he makes the wrong choice. I don't know. You know, that's just if you're not gonna go for it, kick the field goal. What can go wrong, Scott, if you try a long field goal and miss?
I mean, the thing I know is that it depends on who's your kicker. Gano has been one of the more reliable guys so far this season.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you're outdoors, so maybe the weather in MetLife isn't the way you wanted, and maybe he prefers to go in one direction over the other. But Atlanta's defense has gotten torched for pretty much the entire season. You really can't pick up 3 yards.
I was going to say for pretty much the 2020s, but yeah,
That works too.
yeah, I agree. It's just ridiculous. Stop punting on the plus side of the 50. Stop it. Just don't do it.
I would say anything 4th and 5 or lower, in my opinion.
Yeah. If it's more than 4th and 5, you at least have to think about it.
Yeah, well, even 4th and 5, at least, you can try to fake a play and draw them off sides or something. But
and just to illustrate the lunacy of that, the Falcons got the ball at the 5-yard line. So the Giants are patting themselves on the back. They downed it at the 5. In 4 plays, the Falcons were at 34, Scott. They were 5 yards away from where they punted from. What's the point? You gave up a possession for nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's the whole point of going for it there is you value possessions correctly. And most coaches, regardless of the level, still don't value possessions correctly. By the way, Scott, did you see the Army game?
The Army game, I'll let you talk about, but that's a whole separate can of worms.
Well, I'm just going to talk about one particular play. It was 4th and 1 from their own 10, Scott. The math says go for it because you have roughly a 70% chance of picking up that.
It's 70% chance for most teams. Army with the triple option.
Yep.
I got to assume that's north of 85.
Probably. So they go for it. They make it. They continue the drive, and it ends up being an 11-minute drive that goes 99 yards and pretty much sucks the will to live away from the opposite. Who are they playing?
They played Miami, Ohio. It also sucked. It also sucked the hope you had from the over in that game because I know you had that. But the point is, it's a good move, especially if you trust your team to do it. You're in the NFL. You have a mobile quarterback. If Daniel Jones anything else, at least he can run. You got to come up with something.
I don't understand it. I mean, they're starting to learn, Scott. They're starting to get it.
Well, the thing that is really the paradigm shifting that's happening in the NFL, which some coaches agree with and some have not really made the adjustment yet, is the prioritization of possessions in comparison to yards. And there used to be a huge priority for yards, how you want to force the other team to go 90, and worst case is we can live with them having possession as long as they have a long drive. Right. Now you realize that's just stupid. We want the ball. I mean, with all the penalties that are called on the defense and how the game is officiated now, you can easily pick up 90 yards in a couple plays with one really questionable pass interference penalty or a couple of plays here or there. So I think some coaches are recognizing that. That's what the Ravens did with Harbaugh and the Lamar run on 4th and 1. Other coaches are starting to adjust a little bit, but other coaches are still playing like coaching like it's 1980.
Unbelievable. It is unbelievable to watch, and it's just you're seeing it play out in real time. You're like you said though, you are seeing a paradigm shift for some coaches. They're starting to get it. First of all, I think they saw the success of the Chiefs, what the Chiefs were able to do in their Super Bowl season.
Well, that applies to some stuff. Like some things leave in Kansas City. Stop trying to do shovel passes. It doesn't work unless Mahomes does it.
Yeah, Mahomes and Kelsey, and they've got so many other things going on with the motion and things like that where
it's a copycat league, but you can copy some schemes and ideas. Some stuff leave over there
You can't
The
really
shovel
copy.
pass is one of them.
Copy plays, correct? So yeah, very good. Man, this has been a fast and fun half hour, guys. Stay tuned. We got 30 more minutes right after this. Doing all right?
Yeah. So far, so good. I mean, I'm not sure if the headphones are going to pick up some feedback when I finish this, but it should be fine.
I'm not hearing it through mine at all. I'm not.
Cool.
I'm not
Works for me.
So. It's brutal. Just fucking brutal. All right, so we still got to talk about this and this. And
By the
this.
way, we're going to skip Survivor because I think every team basically won.
Okay, yeah, we talked about the main.
I mean, it would be the Chiefs hypothetically, but if the Ravens would have lost, we could have done that. But we still got Gambling Hero and Oddsmakers are drunk.
And freak out or chill out.
Yeah. If you think we have time for that or not.
Yeah, we didn't even set it up, did we?
No, we did not.
Okay. All right. I do have surprises there. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got plenty. All right.
Well, I mean, you have an idea with the rookie quarterbacks and stuff, so we can still bring it up.
All right. Very good.
Cool.
10 seconds. All right. Here we go. Coming on home. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the second half hour of Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. Now we're down to 30 minutes, Scott. So still a lot going on our recap show, but we know we wanted to talk about this. I know you're out in Vegas. You've maybe had a cocktail or two, Scott?
A little bit more than two, but at least two is a start.
I mean, I know you didn't drink any today because you had to stay, sober as a judge, ready for the show. But
that's what you think.
I'm assuming yesterday you had some cocktails. So
wait, you're saying that you don't pregame the show on the regular basis?
I do not. No,
Nobody gave me that memo.
Sorry, buddy. I thought it was in the company handbook. We'll make sure you get a copy.
I thought the drinks were covered by the company.
I got bad news about getting comp there, my friend. But you know what? You weren't the only one that was drunk because there was definitely a situation in more than one, but we've narrowed it down to one. The Oddsmakers, Scott, maybe you got a chance to see them out there in Vegas. Maybe they're big drinkers. You should. Did you see any of them? Are they hammered?
They might be.
Yeah, because the Oddsmakers out there today, man, they were definitely drunk.
Can I do this one?
Yeah, I know. This one's close to you. We sifted through a lot, and we definitely figured out the right one. Go ahead, buddy.
So this one involves a college that I went to because it involves Wisconsin. And we know Wisconsin was taking on Notre Dame. We mentioned that in the Call the Cops segment with the total. However, we got to talk about the side because Wisconsin had a week off going into this game, and Wisconsin was favored by 6.5. And you thought, the extra time off, the preparation might help. I know both of us liked Notre Dame anyway. And the main reason was because of the fact that Wisconsin has a quarterback who, let's just say, should really be paying attention to his studies because he doesn't really have much pro future.
He's the second best quarterback that played for Wisconsin that was on that field on Saturday.
That's one way to put it. Now, Graham Mertz was awful. I'm not going to spend too much time roasting a college kid, but the point is that Wisconsin, against a competent ranked team, cannot be laying 6.5 in a neutral with a quarterback who can't throw.
No.
Mertz is awful. He shouldn't be playing. He's just a bad player. And I know that people are going to try to defend the college kid, and I get the fact that he's a sophomore and he's got time to grow. I don't really know what more you need to see. He can't play the position at this level. He's not good.
He doesn't – he's got the arm strength. He doesn't seem to have the decision-making ability.
And you look at the overall talent on the team.
See the field well.
Wisconsin always has a top 10 offensive line. Mm-hmm. The receivers, you have Danny Davis, who's pretty good. You have a couple of options there. And they run good routes. He just cannot find guys or make the right reads at pretty much any given time. And yet the odds makers were thinking, Wisconsin should be favored by around a touchdown in this game. Like, are you serious?
I didn't see it. I just, I guess.
Wisconsin never led by more than, 3? And that was for about 8 seconds because Notre Dame took the following kickoff back for a touchdown.
Yep. And, I think the deal is they were looking at kind of some weak performances from Notre Dame where they kind of played with their food against Toledo, maybe could have beat up on Purdue a little bit more. So they're looking at a team that kind of appears to be a little disinterested. But Notre Dame is one of those teams that can play up or down to the level of their competition. And they stepped it up. It was a big national TV neutral site game. They were fired up. They were ready to go. just brutal. I didn't understand it then. I didn't understand it during the game, and I don't understand it now, Scott. That line was one of the worst I've seen in a long time. And you brought up a great point as we sit here, on my fat ass and us and sitting here, we're roasting college kids. I get it. He's 19, 20 years old. We're not saying he's a bad human being. We're not even saying he has no future. Probably a great kid. It's just the fact that at the major college level, he is not an above average quarterback right now.
He's on average.
No, he's nowhere near average.
The truth is, you can talk about any quarterback in the conference, the Big Ten specifically. You can talk about Rutgers and Illinois, because I'm not a big Brandon Peters guy either. But Mertz might be the worst quarterback in the entire conference, and you're supposed to compete for a conference title.
I haven't seen Northwestern play a lot. I suspect he's not good.
Well, we did see Hunter Johnson week 1, who was not very good, but Mertz, I don't know how many starts you can keep giving this guy. He's just not very good at the game.
And you're the Wisconsin guy. What's the backup situation? Who's behind Mertz? Is there any help on the way?
Well, that's kind of funny you bring that up, because Mertz ended up getting pulled in the Eastern Michigan game because they were winning by a lot. The backup came in and gave up a 98-yard pick six.
Terrific.
So they somehow have 50,000 people on campus or more for Wisconsin, and yet nobody knows how to throw a football. But the answer is Chase Wolf.
Chase Wolf?
Yeah.
I think that's what you do in your leisure time.
I have no idea, but that's maybe, well, a sign that Wisconsin should try to go through the transfer route like they did with Russell Wilson about 10 years ago or so. Because all these homegrown guys you keep trying to recruit, they might have either been decent prospects in high school and you've completely destroyed them in college, or they were never very talented to begin with.
Scott, I'm gonna help you out here. I just wanted to let the fine folks in the athletic department at Wisconsin know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe you still have 4 years of eligibility at Wisconsin left. Is that correct?
Yes, because of the fact that you had the whole, you had the eligibility with COVID and everything like that. So yes.
So you still have 4 years. So
technically, you talk about me?
Yeah, if they wanted to call you.
Well, I mean, I didn't play a single down in college, so sure, but I'd have to go to grad school or something.
Whatever. Yeah, you could go take 6 hours and whatever.
If the job is to throw to the other team, I could do that pretty well.
Fair enough. How far can you throw a football?
Probably not as far as you need to play a D1.
Have you ever like just winged?
I have not actually thrown around a football in like an actual game environment since probably college, and that was intramural flag football. Like I have not ever been in that situation. So of course that's the caveat of sitting down and criticizing the guy.
You're just standing at the 50. How can you get it to the end zone?
Probably not.
All right, good enough. All right.
I'm being honest, but once again, if you think I'm being harsh, sorry. I'm willing to be honest about people who are relatively around my age.
Yep, that's the way it works. And for me, I've got kids. I roast them all the time, so I don't feel bad. We normally do our survivors segment. There were really no survivors that got knocked off. I guess you might have been playing the Chiefs to try to get fancy, but if you did, you weren't looking at the matchup history between those two teams.
Truth is, if you took the Chiefs instead of taking Denver or taking Arizona or any of these teams, you pretty much deserve to lose.
Was a great spot to play Denver. I went the other way. I faded the other crappy team in the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I won't say it almost bit me, but it was a little more uncomfortable than I wanted it to be. We mentioned earlier it was 2.5 quarters.
Well, the Ravens or the Raiders would have been – the Ravens were the big ones. They ended up winning in the end. Yeah. The Raiders were close, but still.
That would have been the big sting right there for sure if the Ravens wouldn't have won that one. So, all right, buddy. There were some surprises out there, and probably the biggest surprise to me, and we kind of saw it last week against Baltimore, and as a Chiefs fan, we were able to say, you know what, the Chiefs, they're up to a really good team. Lamar Jackson, he's a one-of-a-kind talent. You're not going to have that kind of problem with any other team. Scott, to me, this Chiefs team looks average. The defense, of course, still looks below average, but the offense, where you normally count on them to make up for that difference, they look average. Mahomes looks fine, but he's not exemplary right now. And I know we talked about the defense, that everybody's made the adjustment. They're playing, Tony Romo talked about putting the lid on it. They're playing two high safeties. They're doubling up Hill. They're doubling up Kelsey. Although the Mahomes was able to find Kelsey for a couple of third down plays, it just makes me scratch my head. I texted my buddy. I said, anybody that doesn't double cover Kelsey on third down is in the same boat with people that pitch to Sal Perez and throw him strikes. I don't understand it. There's just no reason for it whatsoever. So we saw the Chiefs get beat. We saw Tampa Bay get beat. You look at the board, according to FanDuel, Kansas City still favorite to win the Super Bowl. Of course, the odds now are plus 550. It's a wide open race, but they are still the favorite at plus 550. Tampa Bay is plus 650. They're the second favorite. Is that where these teams should be ranked, Scott?
I think that it's a fair assessment if you think that they're going to figure it out by season's end, because once again, there are 18 weeks, not 17. So you got a lot of time to actually figure it out. Tampa lost that Monday night game against Los Angeles last year, and people thought everything was about to fall apart. Chiefs killed them. Didn't matter. They won the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to overreact this early to early season struggles. But at the end of the day, you have Brady on one side and Mahomes on the other. And they're daring you to take another team with a quarterback that hasn't been there before. Well, in most cases, of course, the Packers have Rodgers, who's been there, stuff like that. But I understand it. Do I think that – am I going to waver as of right now in my prediction that the Chiefs are going to play the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl? No, because I still think that when they're right, or even 90% right, they are very, very tough to beat.
Okay.
You?
I have much more confidence in the Buccaneers than I do the Chiefs.
Is that because of how deep the AFC is, or because you just think that the Chiefs have more flaws than Tampa Bay?
Yes, I think they have more flaws than Tampa Bay right now. I really do.
I'm not going to overreact to the Buccaneers losing to the Rams because I had the Rams winning that game.
Right, I did too. And you go on the road, you play arguably probably, if not the best team in the NFC, certainly top three.
I'm not going to say Antonio Brown's worth that much to a point spread, but when you're used to some type of, I'd say, breakdown in terms of snap percentage, and you suddenly have to call a guy up instead of Antonio Brown, I do think that hurts the offensive continuity a little bit.
Brady still threw for 430 or something. I mean,
he threw for a lot, but let's be real. The Rams were leading the entire second half.
Right, 55 attempts.
Yeah.
He ain't going to last throw 55 attempts. I am much more interested, Scott. I think there's good value on the Rams at plus 950 and the Bills at plus 1,000.
Well, I think that Stafford proved today, because there was the narrative that he can never beat winning teams. Probably coaching, because Stafford was really, really good today.
Or surrounding himself with terrible talent.
That too. But I'm just saying, people try to criticize Stafford for being a stat patter and for not actually being a very capable quarterback of leading a Super Bowl team. Yeah, he proved today. I'm pretty sure he's talented enough to do that.
Yeah, I will definitely say, as a Chiefs fan, I'm officially worried. This team just looks different. There's just something, obviously the defense is awful. And like I said, the offense is what troubles me more at this point. There's something schematically that they haven't figured out yet.
But we'll disagree on that. I think that the defense is the issue, because they can't stop anybody.
Well, I mean, it's a huge part of it. But like I said, the offense, normally you count on them, and they just haven't been there. And we talked last week about how this Chiefs team was so good in one-score games and how that wasn't sustainable, that they put themselves on that knife's edge every game and were able to pull it off. And you've seen it 2 weeks in a row where you expect Mahomes to just rally at the last minute, go down there, drive down the field, and get the game winner. 2 weeks in a row, it has not happened. 2 weeks in a row, it hasn't even been particularly close. So, all right, now we're going to save the best for last, Scott. This is this is a great one. We're going to find out who was the gambling hero of the day, who made that money, who let those people take home that paper, Scott. Let's find out who it was in today's edition of Gambling Hero of the Day. All right, go ahead.
So for this one, we got to be looking at the Detroit and Baltimore game, because there was an NFL record set on a game-winning play, which really does not happen that often. Justin Tucker, who is by far the best kicker of all time. If you're a Vinatieri truther, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're wrong. Tucker is the best kicker of all time. Anyway, he ended up hitting a game-winning 66-yard, which is an NFL record, by the way, kick at the buzzer, or as clock expired, and won Baltimore the game. Now, I know Baltimore didn't cover, but of course, you had Baltimore survivors, you had Baltimore moneyline parlays, and I know maybe one or two of us also had a Baltimore teaser or two, and that ended up working out quite well. But the point is that Justin Tucker, he's the closest thing to an automatic kicker that you can possibly find on the planet ever. And I know he's the greatest of all time. I think you'd agree with me. He's just from another planet. I mean, he's just something else.
That kick, and you kind of mentioned not necessarily the best part, but a really good part.
Oh, that hit the crossbar and then bounced.
Hit the crossbar and bounced in, because I saw it hit the crossbar. Because I did, I had it as my last play on a three-team teaser. We had Arizona and Buffalo easily covered the number there. We had Baltimore minus the 1.5, whatever it was at. And when he hit the crossbar, I'm like, no. And then I saw it cross. And I was like, oh my God. I yelled Scott and pounded my desk. And I never, you know how it is as a gambler. You don't like show emotions. You don't live and die with every game on your sleeve. It's just, it wears you out. But that was
historic. I mean, yes, that was something else.
It was really unbelievable. And it was, again, put me on the right side of a 3-game teaser. And it was for myself and it was for my premium clients. I was very excited about that when he hit that. So
as far as I'm concerned,
guys who are listening to radio,
sorry.
Don't stop don't stop the sting, Scott. Give us an hour and we'll give you the winners. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I was going to say I was about to talk and then you started talking at the same time. My bad. But anyway, I was going to say, in my opinion, I think that might be the second best kick of all time, because I still put the Vinatieri kick in the snow against Oakland at number 1 after the tuck rule came into play.
44 yards?
Something like that. But in that snow and everything like that, I think that's the best kick of all time. Well, but I'm putting that at number 2, my opinion.
The best kick of all time, Tom Dempsey hitting a 63-yarder, because nobody was making them like that.
You mean from just running straight instead of the curve?
No, nobody was making 50-yarders back then.
But Scott, I'm saying he also would just run straight, right? He didn't have the angle.
He was a straight on kicker. Much like, you know who the last straight on kicker was?
I have no idea.
Mark Mosley of the then Washington Redskins.
NFL MVP winning.
That's right. But yeah, he was. That was still a fantastic kick. It was a sloppy field there at Tulane, but the Vinatieri kick. It was, of course, the Saints game. That was just a random, that was just a random home game in the middle of the season. The Vinatieri kick, of course, was the playoffs and was huge. And of course, it was aided by what they call it, Scott. Was it Shovelgate or what? When he came out and cleared the spot on the field.
Yeah. I would not have used the timeout there to let the Patriots get extra time to dig.
They had the guy. I don't know if you ever heard this story, but he was actually on work release from a prison.
No, that was a different game.
What's that?
That was the Patriots-Dolphins game from like 1980 something.
It was? I thought it was the same game. The same guy they sent out with the snowplow.
Different game.
You sure?
100%.
Okay. All right. I'm conflating my New England snow stories then.
There's a lot of them, I'm sure.
Very good. All right. So we got a couple of minutes here. Let's talk about some takeaways from this weekend rather. You've got a couple of surprising teams. I think the West, the AFC West, Scott, is that the biggest surprising division right now? You've got 2 teams at the top with 3-0 records. I don't think that was unexpected. The identity of those teams certainly is unexpected, as the Raiders and Broncos sit atop the West. Chargers with 1 defeat, and the Chiefs are 1-2 on the season. You got anything? What do you got that's more surprising than that?
Not really much. I do think, though, that those records are inflated because Denver has played absolutely nobody.
Yeah, they've certainly benefited from playing that last place schedule, haven't they?
So Denver, I still don't think is very good. The defense is good. I'll give them that. I think Teddy Two Gloves is okay at quarterback. But, I mean, this team, you got to at least acknowledge who they've played.
Right.
You beat the Giants, who were 0-for. You beat the Jets, who were 0-for. Yep. And they also beat who else did they beat? They beat the
Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think it was Jacksonville. Yeah, so the point is they beat 3 teams that are 0-for. So am I supposed to be impressed you beat a team that's a combined 0-9?
Agreed.
Like, no. So I think that's fine. The Raiders, I guess, I mean, they beat Baltimore. I still don't think Baltimore's that good, but that's a separate story. They beat Miami with a backup quarterback. And, yeah, they're fine. But I would say that the scheduling has been a decent reason why the Broncos and Raiders are in first place right now.
Yep, can't argue with that. All right, we were gonna hit college, but you know what? We're out of time, buddy.
We'll save it for tomorrow.
We will, and we've actually got a special guest that'll be on the Wednesday show. Talk a little football. Chris Kubala from winnersandwiners.com is going to stop by, so we would save it for that. But let's talk about this game tonight because we have a Monday night football game, Scott. I know we've kind of been avoiding it a little bit. It's not one of those. I guess for a certain segment of the country, it's a big marquee matchup. It is a big rivalry game there from the NFC East as the Eagles travel down to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys right now, Scott, 3.5-point favorites, although we're starting to see some 3 creep in here. 3.5 across the board is pretty much even money. So what's your thoughts on this one?
I think this game's going to be close, obviously, because the spread's low. So I think it's going to come down to the wire. However, I don't know what to think of Philly's defense without Brandon Graham, and I think that's going to be a problem. Now, of course, the defense was good against San Francisco last week. The offense didn't really do much, which is concerning. But if I was looking at this matchup, the question that I have is, can Jalen Hurts actually pick apart a terrible defense? Because last year, Dallas's defense stunk, and, well, Hurts was awful against Dallas. So he's got to make adjustments. He wasn't very good last week against San Francisco, but San Francisco's defense is a lot better than Dallas's.
Right.
I think it's going to come down to the quarterback play, obviously, because I think that Dak should be able to pick apart this Philly team. The question is, can Hurts do the same against an awful defense where you have a lot of bend but don't break philosophy, because they gave up a lot of yards, but against the Chargers last week, they ended up doing a pretty good job of keeping them out of the end zone. Mm-hmm. The way I see it, I think Hurts plays well. I think Dak plays well. I see a war. I'm looking at the over. You?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. The thing that worries me about Philly is the fact that they're going to be going up against this Dallas defense, which, you know, certainly well documented, not an elite unit. But they're going to be doing it without their starting left tackle in Jordan Mailata, and they're going to be doing it without their starting right guard, Brandon Brooks. That's 2 huge pieces missing off that line. So I'm thinking that I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas can do some damage here, Scott. That's kind of where I'm at in this game. I think I don't love the defense like you said, but I think they've got some pieces, and they certainly have a one-man wrecking crew so far in Micah Parsons. Are you down with it, Micah Parsons, for Defensive Rookie of the Year?
As of right now, I would vote for him. I was going to vote for him before the season started because once Sean Lee retired, you had a huge gap there, and you knew that he was going to be the guy to fill it. But I still think that he was a position the Cowboys didn't really need because their secondary is so bad and the defensive line's terrible. But Parsons has been good. I mean, you're looking at the other rookies. Surtain had a pick against Lawrence 2 weeks ago. But other than that, have any rookies really done much?
Oh, the OA for Baltimore has been okay.
Okay. I know that Zaven Collins has been pretty good as well, but I think Parsons is leading the way.
Yeah, Micah Parsons, Scott, he's been on the field for 40 pass attempts, and he's had pressure on the quarterback on 11 of them. That's pretty impressive, and especially impressive for a rookie. Are you worried about this defense that's going to be without their Mike linebacker and Ken O'Neill? You're going to have Van Der Esch step into the middle spot.
Well, the answer would have to be yes, right? Because I said I like the over.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing that worries me about that is, you know, Van Der Esch is more of an outside guy.
But I'm saying we've talked about this Cowboys defense in the past. Week 1, Tampa, 3 receivers, all very good, and Tampa 8. Week 2, you had the Chargers. You had Mike Williams, who's been very good this year, Keenan Allen. And even though the Chargers didn't score many points, I believe they never punted because Herbert had 300 and something passing yards, and they couldn't stop the pass, and that's how that worked itself out. So now you have Devontae Smith, Rieger, who's been good, and Watkins, who's got speed. And do I think the Cowboys can stay in front of all these guys? I don't. So I think you're going to see a decent amount of big plays. I think you're going to see a lot of offensive firepower being showcased in this game. I'm picking Dallas. I think Dallas will win somewhere between 4 and 7 points, but I like the over.
Okay. I'm a big fan of the over as well. I do have a premium play on the side, but I think this is going to be a team. I think this is going to be a game where I think Dallas has the superior offense, but I think Philly's going to have to chase. So
yeah, I agree.
All right, very good. And I'm a big fan of Dallas team total over, by the way. I'm going to get that 27.5. Let's turn to baseball, Scott. It's going to be the last week of the baseball season. The races are really bunching up there.
How about those Yankees?
Hmm.
Big sweep. Huge.
Yes. Yeah. The Yankees playing good ball. They're 7-3 over their last 10. They've moved into the lead for the wild card position. Oh, what a difference a week makes, huh, Scott?
Yep.
Them and the Yankees in Boston are your current wild card teams. I know that's thrilling for everybody outside of the New York and Boston area. We couldn't be happier for you guys.
Mm-hmm. No sarcasm at all.
No, none at all. So Toronto's a game back. The Mariners are 2 back. A's are 3 back. I mean, kind of a light card here today, Scott. We've got just, what do we got? 5 games on the card?
Yes, and we might be saving one for later.
We are going to save one for later. It's even money on whether I remember to do that or not. But what gets your attention here? We've got.
Well, there's one I'm going to just interrupt you that I got to talk about. It's
Okay.
Kansas City and Cleveland. Give me the team total in Cleveland. Give me really anything fading Coer because he's just bad. I know that he was great in the minors. He's been awful in the majors. He's kind
Don't you want me to tell you that he's got good stuff?
He's a 4A guy. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him. He just doesn't get it done whenever he's in the game. And Cleveland has been great against Kansas City. So Quantrill's been good. Give me Cleveland team total over, Cleveland run line, really whatever you want.
Yep, it's kind of hard to not take that. Jackson Coar is a guy that it's his first season. It probably hasn't made 5-6 starts, so I'm not quite ready to write him off as a permanent 4A guy.
As of right now, he's appeared to be a 4A guy.
I believe he is overmatched in this game, however. Any thoughts on Keuchel and Manning going for Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers?
Well, quickly, I'll go with Detroit. Okay. Chicago won the division. I'm not really sure what they're playing for. Detroit seems to really want to finish 500. I'll go with Detroit.
All right, very good. All right, buddy, you alluded to it. We got to get need to get ripping here. It is time for us to put our heads together, come up with our very best play of the day. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, climb aboard your John Deere and fire that baby up because get ready to bet that farm. All right, who is it?
So for the farm play, we're going to look at the Mariners money line at -106 offshore. Mariners playing really good ball, won 7 of their last 8. Mariners have killed Oakland this season. They've won 12 of 16 meetings, including each of the last 9. Irvin's been terrible against the Mariners, 0-4, ERA of 7.68 and a whip of 2.09. Flexen's been one of the most profitable pitchers in baseball, if not the most profitable. And the Mariners have just owned this team. They're playing really good ball, and Oakland has been falling apart for the last couple of months at this point. Give us Seattle at barely a pick 'em, whatever price you can find.
Yep. And Mariners have been moneymakers all year long. They're second most profitable team in baseball behind San Francisco, most profitable road team in the American League. Of course, you're playing this one at home. Doesn't matter. Take the Mariners here, bet the farm, do yourself a favor, and get down on Chris Flexen. Who? That's right, Chris Flexen. You know him, you love him. He's going to make you money tonight. That's going to do it for the Monday edition of the Winners and Winers Radio. Just ripped by, man. Thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate it. Scott, thanks for stopping by from Vegas. And, of course, we wish you guys nothing but the best on all of your plays. Come back and see us tomorrow on Winners and Winers Radio. Take care, everybody.